Revolutionary greetings, or should I say liberation greetings to all and sundry, my people of the southern Cameroons, fellow Amazonians. Today is Saturday, November 27, and today is verse 7 of our program, The Soul of the Southern Cameroons. Within the framework of this program, we are going to talk about that Fumban Conference. That Fumban Conference that is today identified as one of the key moments in the history of the Southern Cameroons, where all of the problems that we are facing today appear to have part of their root. Part of their root. My people, what happened in Fumban? Was there a clear-cut agreement in Fumban? Was a treaty of union examined in Fumban? What was the role of Fumban? How did it connect to Resolution 1608 of the UN General Assembly regarding self-determination for the people of the Southern Cameroons? That is going to be the crux of our discussion today, but I must announce that there is a big boom that I'm going to bring at the end of this program. So don't go away. Just stay on all the way to the end, because that is a big and very interesting and important announcement, because it is a direct message, very important message from a strange kind of person to the people of the Southern Cameroons, to the people of Amazonia. And so to talk about the Fumban Conference on this program, take note that before we get to that, we're definitely going to talk somehow about what happened at the European Union Parliament this week. So with me to talk about the Fumban Conference is Barrister Geoffrey Andang Ndo. He is a legal advisor with the African Bar Association and the Secretary General of the Southern Cameroon Civil Society Consortium that we affectionately call the Consortium. So without much ado, I'm going to introduce our guest, Barrister Andang, who is connecting with us all the way from Nigeria. Barrister Andang, good evening and welcome to this program. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good evening, and thank you very much for inviting me for this program, The Soul of the Southern Cameroon.
Barrister Andang, how is it out there in Nigeria today? How is the climate there today? Cold, hot?
The climate is cold, cold and hot at the same time. We've been having some rains amid hot sun, and I am not very much concerned with the climate because I've become used to it. But you want to ask me anything about Nigeria, I will be referring you to the allegations by some Nigerian, in fact, the media, about the incursion of Ambazonian fighters into Nigeria, particularly in Taraba State. This is a typical case where La République du Cameroon is trying to once more, in fact, blackmail our revolution. Such a thing never happened. We have an incident where La République du Cameroon, I'm talking about the soldiers that have actually entered into Nigerian territory and committed cross-border crime, including killing. So,
well,
Our
Yeah,
people, our
I
people have
understand,
not
Barrister
had the
Andang, that
opportunity.
a Nigerian senator has already actually debunked that as false and fully false, and so and indicated that I mean it really didn't concern the people of the southern Cameroons. So, Barrister Andang, I like to take us to some good teaser on this program. I know that some in the audience always say, Mr. Kuro, stop laughing, stop laughing. But there are things, signs, and wonders that sometimes attract laughter. And if you believe that signs and wonders continue to happen unto this day and actually bear a strong message, just watch this.
Vous me regardez l'undem du Cameroun. Regardez. De tous les drapeaux, vous pouvez voir, de tous les drapeaux, all drapeaux d'Inde sont bien alignés en haut, bien faits, bien organisés, bien disciplinés. Regardez où il y a votre drapeau. Regardez. Ce n'est pas la sorcellerie que c'est quoi. Ça, c'est un pays de malchance. Regardez vous-même, vous-même, regardez, regardez.
I'm laughing there because what this gentleman is showing may seem funny. It may seem just funny, but take note, it doesn't happen by error. Listen, my people, these things don't happen by error. That is the flag of La République du Cameroon, among several other flags at that international space. But you see, all the other flags are flying smoothly well. That of La République du Cameroon is flying at half mast. Is it by design or by fate? No, it's not a simple coincidence. God definitely is always saying something. Each time that these things happen, some people say, oh, it's just coincidence, it's just nature. Look at all those flags, all of them. You want to take another look at it, maybe because you didn't take note when I was flying. I repeat this short video.
Regardez
Just take a
l'undem
look
du
at it.
Cameroun. Regardez.
Of all those flags,
De tous les drapeaux,
just the
vous pouvez voir,
flag
de tous
of
les
La
drapeaux,
République du
all
Cameroon
drapeaux d'Inde
is at half mast.
sont bien alignés en haut, bien
And the
faits, bien
commentator
organisés,
says,
bien disciplinés.
he says, c'est
Regardez
un
où il y a
pays de
votre
malchance.
drapeau.
That's a
Regardez.
Joffrey law.
Ce n'est pas la sorcellerie que
Listen,
c'est
my
quoi.
people,
Ça, c'est un pays de malchance.
what this depicts is simply that thing that people are singing there, one and indivisible, has never existed. There is no such thing as one and indivisible. God has continued to speak to us through signs and wonders. We have even seen La République du Cameroon on a display at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium carve the map of their country and left out that of the southern Cameroons. Complete. And everybody could see it for themselves. These are signs and wonders. In 2010, a representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations visited Cameroon on the occasion of the 50th anniversary celebration of the independence of La République du Cameroon and presented two maps at the presidency and said that don't blame me for bringing these two maps. This is exactly what history is. This is what history bequeathed to us. These signs and wonders have been there, and they keep coming up every day. This is always a reawakening call on the people of the southern Cameroons to recognize that God is saying something. Let me rush over to my guest, Barrister Andang, who is on the line to Lagos. And Barrister Andang, I'm finding out from you, what is your comment about this?
Um, what comment would you really want me to say after nature has already placed the map of La Republic down amidst other map to the international community? The map, while other maps are flying up high with their colors, that of La Republic is flying midway somewhere down. In fact, this brings me to the one of the greatest English poets by name Lord Alfred Marshall Tennyson, who has been described as the best poet of nature. I mean, he did so well. I need not waste your time telling much about his poetry, but a summary of it all is that Lord Alfred Marshall Tennyson told us that nature was something one could not escape from. Uh, in fact, nature has already placed La Republic where she is. She is down and she can come up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very much,
Barrister Ndo Andam.
Barrister Andam.
I
I
would like to move now to
would
some
like to move
very
now to some
important
very
events
important
that happened in the course of
events
this
that
week.
happened in the course of the
And
week.
the first
And
and most
the
important
first
one of them
most important one of them
is this
is this
resolution
resolution
from the European
from
Union
the European Union
Parliament, from the European Union
Parliament,
Parliament
the European
that held
Parliament
in
that
Brussels,
held in
Belgium. But before I get to
Belgium.
that, I have
Before I
this
get to
piece of
that, I
information
have
that
this piece of
just reached
information
me
that
as
just reached me as
I was getting into the studio
I was getting to the
to
studio
begin this broadcast,
to begin
and
this broadcast, and
I had the
I
technical
had
department do
the
some
technical department do
verification
some
with our sources
verification
at the
with
Mbingo
our
Baptist
sources at the
Hospital
Bingo
and
Baptist
found the
Hospital
information to
and
be
found the
verified.
information to be verified.
The information says
The information says
Mr. Bia's stocks
Mr. Bia
were
stocks
mounting
were
popcorn
mounting
at
popcorn
their barracks in
at their
Ginicom last
barracks
night.
in
That is
Unicom
the
last
night of
night.
November
That is the
26th,
night of
breaking
November
today,
26th, breaking
November
today,
27th.
November
And as they were
27th.
mounting and
And as they were
manipulating
mounting
this
and
popcorn,
manipulating this popcorn,
I mean, the corn
I mean, the corn
incidentally popped
incidentally
while they were
popped
preparing it.
while they
Of
were
course, you
preparing
don't ask
it.
me what they were
Of course,
preparing
you
it
don't
for
ask what they were preparing it for
late in the night.
late in
Perhaps
the
so
night.
that we could get up this
Perhaps so
morning
that we could get up
seeing the
this morning,
same kind of
seeing the
incidents we
same kind
saw at
of
the
incidents
University of
we saw
Boya
at the University of
in
Boya
Amphitheater 600,
in
the same
Amphitheater
kind we
600, the
saw
same
happening in
kind we
taxis
saw
still
happening
in
in
the city of
taxis
Boya,
in the city
the
of
same
Boya,
kind that we saw
the same kind
definitely
that we saw
in
definitely
Kolotiti.
in
And
Kolo
so,
City.
while they
And
were
so,
manipulating it
while
that
they were
way, it
manipulating it
popped,
that way,
and it
it
did not
popped
just pop
and it
like
did not
that.
just pop
Or
like that.
notice, as they can't pop two
As they come
Larissas,
for two
or we call them a
Larissa, we
Kelebe,
call them
uh,
Kelebe,
as I speak to you, are
as I
right
speak to
now
you,
in
are
a
right now
critical
in a
race,
critical race,
racing seriously towards
racing
Akonolinga.
seriously towards
In
Akolonia.
fact,
In
my
fact,
sources say that
my sources say that
at the Mbigo Baptist
at the
Hospital right
Bigo
now,
Baptist
these
Hospital right
two
now, these
are
two
in a
are
very
in a
critical race, and
very
if
critical race,
care
and
is not taken,
care
they
is
will
not taken, they
absolutely
will
get to
absolutely
Akonolinga
get to
anytime
Akolonia
soon.
anytime
And the
soon.
two others
And
are
the two
busy there at
others
the
are
same
busy
Mbigo
there at
Baptist
the same
Hospital,
Bigo
thanking
Baptist
God
Hospital,
that they
thanking
did not
God
eat a lot of the
that they did not
popcorn.
eat a lot of the
Because if they
popcorn.
ate a lot of the
Because if
popcorn,
they
they
had a
too
lot of
would
the
have been in the
popcorn, they
critical
too would have
race
been the
towards
critical race
Akonolinga.
towards Akolonia.
Now you ask yourself the
Now you
fundamental
ask
question,
yourself
what
the
were they doing
fundamental
with the
question, what
popcorn?
were they doing with the popcorn?
But also,
But
another source,
also,
a high up, a
another source, a
well-placed
higher
authority in
workplace
Boyo,
authority in Boyu,
tells us that
tells us that
these Larissas are now
these
claiming
baristas are now
that
claiming
they got the popcorn
that
from the
they got the
voices,
popcorn
that's
from the
mimicking
voices,
Atanga Ponji, from the
mimicking Atanga
voices,
Point, from the
and they
voices,
were trying to
and they were
deactivate
trying to
the whole thing
deactivate
when the incident
the whole
occurred.
thing when the
Really,
incident occurred.
how did they manage to get it?
How did they
Carry
manage to
conveniently to their
carry
place and waited
conveniently
until
to
the
their
night
place and
to
waited
try to
until the night
deactivate it when we have
to try
seen
to
them on
deactivate it?
video
When we have seen
in
them
other
on
places
video,
doing that in
other
broad
places
daylight and
doing that in
showing
broad daylight
triumph.
and doing triumph.
There is more to this
There
story
is more to this
than they
story
are telling us.
than
But I just wanted to share
I
this
just
because it
wanted
just
to
came in
share this
hot with our people
what
of the southern
would have
Cameroon, so
of
you
the
continue
South
to take
Cameroon.
note of
So
what
you
is happening in
continue
your
to take note of
environment.
what is happening in your
I have
environment.
reported before
I have
that
reported
this
before
kind of things were
that
going to
this
be
kind of
happening,
things were going to be happening,
and we have seen them
and
happening.
we have seen them
So
happening.
this is a call on all of
So
us
they call on
to
all of
beware
us to
the
beware
places that we go to,
the
the kind
places
of
that we
things we
go to,
do, the kind
the
of
kind of things
people
we
we
do, the
associate
kind of
with,
people
and
we
so
associate with,
take all
and
forms
so
of
take all
safety
forms of
measures as you go
safety
about.
measures as well.
And so that said, I like
And
to
so
move
that
on to
said,
this.
I like to move on to this.
This week,
This week,
the European
the
Union
European
Parliament
Union
took a
Parliament
resolution,
took a
a
resolution,
very strong
a
resolution on
very
the
strong
situation
resolution on the
in the
situation
southern Cameroons.
in the southern Cameroon.
The motion for a resolution which I
The
heard was
motion for
with
resolution which
request
was
for
request for
inclusion in the
inclusion
agenda for a
in the
debate
agenda for a
on
debate
cases of
on
breaches of
cases of
human rights,
breaches of
democracy, and the rule of law,
democracy and the rule of
pursuant to
law,
Rule
pursuant to Rule
144 of the Rules of
144
Procedure.
of the rules of
I
procedure.
won't rush so much into this because I
Only
know
want
a
someone
lot
to
of
this
us have
because I
seen
know
this on
a lot
social
of us have
media
listened to
fora
social media
by reading
fora
and
by
trying to
reading
make
and
some sense.
trying to make
I'll
some
only
sense.
move on
I'll
to some
only
of the
move on
portions that I've
to some of the
highlighted
portions that I've
because of
highlighted
their
because of
importance.
their importance.
You look at this
You
where
look
they
at
say,
this, where they say,
whereas
whereas
the initial peaceful protests promoted by the Cameroon Anglophone Civil Society Consortium, that is how the consortium was called before our independence was declared and restored on October 1, 2017, and we changed the name to Southern Cameroon's Civil Society Consortium, against the federal government. And again, take note here, the European Union refers to the federal government. They are still thinking that the federal state that emerged from the ashes of the Fumban, the so-called Fumban Conference in 1961 is still in place. That's why they are talking about the federal government, forgetting that it is no longer so. And remember that in most diplomatic missions, the official headed papers and even some letters, some papers that they use as for correspondences still bear Federal Republic of Cameroon, and that is by design, continuation of the big lie. And so say of Cameroon's against the federal government marginalization of Cameroon's Anglophone region in 2016 were suppressed with extreme violence by the state authorities, fueling support for separation and the emergence of several separatist militias calling for a new state, Ambazonia, and prompting a bloody military conflict. So you see here, they are acknowledging that the entire brutality and all what that has been operating in the southern Cameroons has been the handiwork of La République du Cameroon. And they go again further to state one fundamental fact. Whereas dialogue is a precondition for peace, and President Paul Biya, that's President Paul Biya's government, has consistently rejected direct talks with and the separatist leaders from the Anglophone region. This is a clear demonstration again of the fact that the international community is gradually coming to terms with the fact that the people of the southern Cameroons have remained a peace-loving people from time immemorial. And now we always need a stolid war in Mr. Paul Biya and the entire system of La République du Cameroon. Remember, I said that the British colonial administrators, when they were living, generally referred to us, to Southern Cameroonians, as those nice little people that we are, a peace-loving people. But we have found ourselves in a situation which is very unpleasant for us. Look, my people, these things that are happening are not happening by chance, not by error, because some people who are today also celebrating this international victory are the same ones who stood up to castigate the retreat in Toronto that created a major opportunity for the Southern Cameroon's intelligentsia to have face-to-face, direct and frank talks with representatives of the most powerful countries of the world in the same room, telling them exactly how disappointed we were at the posture being taken by the international community, telling them what we expected from the international community, and telling these people in the international community how by their action they appeared to be making Mr. Paul Biya and the people of the Republic of Cameroon think that they are above international law and that they have a blank check to use our people for their sport. And as a result, we say we want to begin seeing concrete actions, stronger statements that should show proof of the fact that the international community is aware of what is happening. First, we saw the joint tweets saying the same thing from four diplomatic missions representing several of the powerful countries in the world that were represented in Toronto. My people, I'm not by this saying that those who are celebrating it and even already using some of these victories for the purposes of fundraising should not celebrate, because an African poet, that is Richard Tiro, says in one of his poems where he quotes a man called Korokoto Mangambo that no one dares discriminate in the feast of the harvest. So our option is still to say, feel free, celebrate these victories, but stop the unnecessary manipulation. We need everyone on board. Because with all hands on deck, we will score even greater victories and faster. Because what you see now is just the tip of the iceberg. Because the best is yet to come. Let me reach out first to Comrade Ndo Andang, to Barrister Ndo Andang, before coming back to the other quotes I have there. So, Barrister Andang, you certainly have looked at some of the provisions of this strong action by the European Parliament, the European Union Parliament. What is your first reading?
Thank you very much. I think the statement made by the European Parliament at this time in point is commendable. I must appreciate it, even though he has come, let me not say a bit late, he has come very late. Again, it is better to be late than never. This one is already an indication that the international community uh, is already getting committed, and we are expecting that many more of such statements will be made not only by the European Parliament but other international organizations and blocs. Actually, it is true that when there was genocide in Rwanda, the international community said never. I'm surprised that for 5 years running, the international community has, uh, in fact, has sat in silence to see what is taking place and only making a frivolous statement. They should move from mere statement to action so that we can begin to believe them in their words, however late it may. Actually, what is taking place in the southern Cameroon is not human rights violation. It is a genocide. I'm surprised that some other person are still describing it as a human rights violation. The crimes are of international character and cannot be described in lesser terms. They are, in fact, fundamental international criminal crimes being perpetrated by La République du Cameroon uh, in southern Cameroon. Let me just quickly add that it appears the European Union is not aware when they made this statement that La République du Cameroon has been arresting our people from our territory and transporting them to La République du Cameroon, where they are detained under horrible situations and court martial. So I think if the European Union was aware, if they are not aware in their next statement, they should be able to include this. Let it be known that it is a very bad thing for people to be arrested in an area where some crimes are alleged to have been committed and transported to other jurisdictions far off from where they live. I've not seen this happening elsewhere. Apart from, in fact, La Republic is the only country I've witnessed in my life committing such crime. Maybe I've not had the opportunity of seeing it happen elsewhere. But
Barrister
let
Andang.
the European Parliament take this down. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Barrister Andang, I think perhaps that that kind of action by La République du Cameroon, that they capture people, round them up from our territory, and take them hundreds of kilometers away from the area where the supposed offenses were committed, is just a validation of the fact that, they are in a conquered territory. This is a colonial administration, and so they don't trust the local jurisdictions to do their will. And that, as a matter of fact, they are just validating what we have been complaining about by that single act. What's your comment on this?
Yes, I agree with you. It is an act of conquest because this is black on black colonialism. Because it must be understood that La République du Cameroon as a trust territory of the United Nations has the same status like Southern Cameroon. How La Republic find itself today capturing our people, kills and doing, in fact, committing all horrific offenses, only find justification in the fact that we are a conquered people. La Republic, and this is an international crime again. It's an international crime for a country to cross international boundaries, invade another, and start arresting, in fact, trying people, not only trying them in, not trying them in civilian, but trying them, in fact, in military tribunals, get them court-martial, sentence them to life imprisonment, and some to, pronouncing the death sentence. There is no
Barrister
other way
Anang,
we can put this
let me
than to say it is a conquered territory.
okay, let us get back to some of the to other provisions of this resolution. And you see, it says, whereas the rule of law is not upheld by the state of Cameroon, with independent monitors, including Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, having previously documented military trial proceedings marred by serious substantive and procedural defects, in which the presumption of innocence, the right to an adequate defense under the independence of proceedings and of the judiciary overall are all seriously undermined. This statement, what this statement entails is that it makes clear that La République du Cameroon is a lawless country. It's a country where the rule of law has collapsed, where the rule of law is not upheld. And it doesn't end there. They move forward. They say, whereas the courts in Cameroon continue to impose the death penalty, whereas the African Commission on Human and People's Rights has long called on governments to abolish the death penalty. And this is again something that comes. I mean, it is shocking that this kind of sentence is even pronounced on people who clearly show and demonstrate that they were not even at the scene of the commission of the said offenses. And so it's quite embarrassing. I rush quickly to another provision where they indicate clearly that calls on the Cameroonian authorities to stop railroading people. Listen. Railroading people into a sham trial before a military tribunal with a predetermined outcome, capped with the imposition of the death penalty, which is unlawful under international human rights law. This is very important. They say railroading people, that is just picking people at random, just rounding up people and taking them before military tribunals, and they say with a predetermined outcome. So this indicates that whatever is taking place in this court is sham. It's just like a kangaroo system that we are talking about. Because before you are taken before that meeting, the decision is already known. Of course, we know that is what has happened to this pregnant woman, who finally ends up having her baby in prison in Boya simply because she once had an affair with no pity. So he insists that the Cameroonian authorities ensure the victims of the ongoing conflict have the right to an independent, fair, and effective investigation. I won't dwell so much into that because it's like asking an offender to, try themselves in their own offense. So, Barrister Andang, I will come back to you for, your final comment on this. Not really final because there are other aspects of it coming ahead. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Yes, your comment.
Can you hear me too?
5 on 5. Your comment.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Let me first of all begin by saying that I still appreciate the statement by the European Parliament. I've not been able to go through it all, but let me quickly mention that if they did not make a prescription somewhere or a suggestion that La Republic should be sanctioned in accordance with international law and norm, then their statement is simply blowing in the wind. There are ways of punishing, countries like La Republic de Cameroon that commit atrocities with impunity. If they did not make mention of that, then I must state here that they finally they didn't strike it. In fact, that was simply everything is simply blowing to the wind. Let me go to the other issue that they raised, rule of law and not like we cannot talk about the rule of law in La Republic to come up and saying that he has collapsed. In fact, he has long received a befitting burial. I mean, long time ago. There is no justice in La Republic de Cameroon. We can't be talking of the rule of law. It is true that cases are even predetermined beforehand. The outcome of a trial is already known before the court lays down its judgment. That is true. We are talking about La Republic being a country where there is no rule of law, a country that violates its own norms. In fact, I'm very much interested in La Republic as a member of the international community and signatory to the the African Union, signatory to the United Nations Charter and many other international conventions and treaties. La Republic, being a signatory, has violated all of them and is, in fact, is guilty. La Republic du Cameroon. Let me cite a simple case of our people that were arrested, abducted in Abuja. I'm referring to Ayoktabe and co. Were abducted and with the complicity of Nigerian authorities and unlawfully and illegally deported to La Republic du Cameroon. In total violation of the provisions of the 1951 Geneva Convention on protection of refugees. A lot of them were refugees and some were equally asylum seekers. In fact, despite a judgment of the Abuja High Court, Abuja Federal High Court, which judgment was effectively served on La Republic du Cameroon, La Republic is yet to return them because the judgment of the Federal High Court of Nigeria indicated and actually urged the government of La Republic du Cameroon together with the federal government of Nigeria to make sure that our people are returned. They have not been, in fact, that has not been done. If at all our people ever committed any crime, the rule of law dictates that they must be deported in accordance with the provisions of international law, and that there must have been some extradition process initiated in Nigeria. To my mind, even out of then, there was no extradition treaty between the state of La Republic du Cameroon and the federal government of Nigeria, because in international law, before any process as such can be initiated, there must be a treaty. No such treaty existed. And equally, there was no extradition process. And how our people found themselves in Nigeria, found themselves in La Republic du Cameroon, only find justification in La Republic, total violation, continuous violation of international norms, and eloquent evidence that the rule of law does not exist in La Republic du Cameroon.
Neither perhaps does it exist in Nigeria, because if it did, the government of Nigeria will respect even the ruling of its own court, will respect the judgment of its own court by paying the indemnities, the damages that were levied on it by the Abuja Federal High Court. But Mr. Andang, let's come away from this subject matter, or rather let's get to other interesting aspects relating to that. Relating to this resolution from the European Parliament, from the European Union Parliament. Let's listen to some of the actors, what they said prior
What is
to,
said prior to
carrying out the vote,
carrying out the
at
vote,
which over
at
400
which over
voted in favor of
400
this
voted
revolution,
in
of this
favor of this
resolution,
resolution of this
and
resolution,
slightly over 30, whether
and
it's 31 or
slightly over
32,
30, whether it's 31 or 32,
voted,
voted
against it, and a
against
few
it,
others
and
abstained.
a few
But
others
take note
abstained.
that
But take
France
note
is at the
that
top of the
France
countries
is at the
that
top of the
voted
countries
against it.
that
Just
voted
listen.
against it.
Madam President,
Just
Commissioner,
listen.
colleagues. 2 weeks ago, 7-year-old Brandy Tatau was shot and killed by a police officer while walking home from school in Bamenda, a city in northwest Cameroon. Brandy is just one of thousands of young girls who are the utterly innocent victims of the armed conflict in Cameroon over the past 5 years. The forced schools boycott in the Anglophone regions has exposed children to child recruitment by terrorist organisations, forced labour, forced childhood marriage and sexual abuse. Children make up 28% of all cases of gender-based violence in Cameroon, and 13% of girls are married before the age of 15. Today we mark the International Day of Violence Against Women. The case of Cameroon reminds us that women and young girls continue to be systematically used as pawns in power struggles across the world. Of course, in order to protect women and girls in Cameroon, we need an immediate ceasefire and for both sides to initiate peace talks without further delay. First and foremost, we must protect life. But the only surefire way to ensure that the human rights of women, girls and others are upheld in Cameroon is to have effective legal safeguards. And that is why Renew insisted on strong emphasis on the rule of law in this urgency resolution. To protect human rights, you need functioning courts, robust, proportionate laws and international recourse. This is the responsibility of the Cameroon government, and it is also the European Union's responsibility as strategic partners of Cameroon to exert the necessary pressure to make this happen. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Commissioner.
Of course, that's very eloquent, it's clear, and it speaks for itself. It's true that perhaps would have expected her to say this or that sanction should follow, but take note that the international systems, or rather the international system, functions in a very systematic manner, and so they go gradually until they get into the regime of sanctions. So I don't want to comment on that. I just want us to go over now and listen to the position of France as delivered by this gentle lady.
La crise anglophone au Cameroun se prête mal à des simplifications outrancières. Et si l'on s'entend sur ses aspects les plus tragiques, les nombres de réformes entreprises depuis son déclenchement sont, elles, souvent occultées. Qu'il s'agisse de la création en 2017 d'une commission nationale pour la promotion du bilinguisme et du multiculturalisme, du recrutement de professeurs et de magistrats anglophones ou encore du grand dialogue national et du statut accordé en 2019. Occulter l'attitude des leaders de l'agitation anglophone des régions du Nord et du Sud-Ouest, dont beaucoup résident aux États-Unis et en Europe, l'est également, puisque certains auraient rejeté l'ensemble de toute discussion avec le gouvernement. Du reste, cette insurrection se fonde-t-elle uniquement sur des considérations d'ordre linguistique et culturel? Nombre d'anglophones vivent, après tout, dans des régions qui ne le sont pas, dans ce pays à 80% francophone. La revendication de certains anglophones, s'agissant de leur représentation au sein de sociétés pétrolières, pourrait de son côté être symptomatique de motivations économiques sous-jacentes. Gardons-nous de crier haro sur le Cameroun, à plus forte raison à l'heure où le terrorisme islamiste semble en passe d'embraser toute l'Afrique centrale. On n'insistera jamais assez, en effet, sur le lourd tribut.
I want to halt it there with this French woman. And for the benefit of those who don't understand French and who are watching this program, I'd like to do a quick summary of what she said. This lady says, number one, that she thinks that regarding the situation, the ongoing situation in the southern Cameroons, the international community is often paying very little attention to the actions and to the measures taken by the Cameroon government to try to respond to the concerns of the people. She mentions, in passing, the recruitment of what she calls Anglophone teachers, the recruitment of Anglophone magistrates, and she also talks about the fact that, according to her, it is a situation or it's a conflict hinged basically on linguistic and cultural consideration, linguistic and cultural differences. And so she believes that as a matter of fact, the problem is being caused by some few people in the diaspora based basically in Europe and in the United States of America. And she goes ahead to affirm that these people in the diaspora in Europe and in the United States of America have systematically rejected all the offers by La République du Cameroun for dialogue. Listen, we all know, without mincing words, that France is behind all of what is happening in the southern Cameroons. And that is why France wouldn't hesitate to get to the international rostrum to tell these public lies. I mean public lies before all and sundry. This is exactly what we told the diplomats during the retreat of the CDN in Toronto. We told them about this kind of public lies and clear manipulations that show that France is behind all of what is happening to our people. That what is happening in the southern Cameroons is a proxy action by La République du Cameroun for France to safeguard French interests on our territory. She goes further to say that she's also heard some calls by southern Cameroonians to be recruited to top positions in the companies that operate in the oil sector. And that she believes, therefore, that it is hidden economic considerations that are pushing a few people to want to put the union of what she considers the two Cameroons to question. And for her, she finds it strange that our people should dare want to be involved in the management of the oil which is drilled from their territory. This is one piece of insult too many from France. And listen, when she talks of the fact that this is basically on linguistic and cultural differences, it begs the question, why has France been asking for the people of Quebec to be granted independence from Canada, to be a country on its own? What are the differences between the people of Quebec and those of mainstream Canada? And of course, we have seen Honorable Thibault Nagy, the former U.S. Undersecretary at the Bureau of African Affairs, ask this question over and over. Why France will want autonomy at all costs for Quebec in Canada, but at the same time want enslavement for the people of the southern Cameroons? And of course, I'm not surprised that the resolutions immediately gainsay what she is saying. Because one of the provisions in the resolution says that Paul Biya and his government are those who have permanently rejected direct dialogue. But she turns it the other way around. Barrister Andang, I'm coming to you very quickly for your comment on this statement from the French representative at the European Union Parliament.
In fact, the representative of the French government at the said European Parliament spoke nothing but the mind of the French. In fact, that's the mind of Frank. Frank has been very, very consistent in telling lies. Very, very consistent in manipulation, misinformation, disinformation, and distorting of facts and evidence to suit whatever economic gains they will have. In fact, let it be clear that the people of Southern Cameroon, because I heard her talking about recruitment of Anglophones or Southern Cameroonians into the magistracy or whatsoever. We are not interested in being recruited as magistrate or whatsoever. They should, in fact, if they like, they recruit everybody. They should make everybody a civil servant or a magistrate in Southern Cameroon. And that will not stop us. We do not want their system. Their system is a total mess. But in fact, they have nothing. They have no lesson to to give us. So what does recruitment of our people into the magistracy got to do with our quest for self-determination? Is it written anywhere that the people's quest for self-determination must be based on such line of reasoning? Not at all. And it's so surprising that she is equally saying that our people should come on board to be recruited into the management of the oil that belongs to us. That is madness. And in fact, I don't think I can comment further on this. It's a big insult. It's a big insult.
I just come back to you quickly because she said some other things here that honestly require a comment. She says this, that the issue at stake in the southern Cameroons is because of cultural and linguistic difference. To the best of my knowledge, she ignores the fact that it is a territorial issue. She ignores the dictum or one of the principles of the Organization of African Unity at the time in 1960, that boundaries acquired at independence in 1960, when this rule was enacted, are frozen. And so therefore, La République du Cameroon incursing to the southern Cameroons to her doesn't seem like it's a territorial problem. What do you say about that?
Yes, that is why what she has said, she's very correct. Correct in the direction of French manipulative tendency. French, life telling and not like misrepresentation, which I earlier mentioned. The problem in the southern Cameroon is not that of linguistic and cultural whatsoever. It's not a linguistic problem. It is a problem of, black on black colonization. In fact, French Cameroon was a trust territory, and the southern Cameroon was equally a trust territory. So how can she now reduce it, turn around and call it a linguistic problem? It is not a linguistic, not even a social-cultural problem. It is a problem of, foreign invasion. The French Cameroon has invaded the territory of southern Cameroon and is terrorizing its people. In fact, we are talking about black on black colonization and not a linguistic or social-cultural differences or problem, whatever she put it. That is in fact, it's not only a lie, it's a true reflection of the French mind. They keep on manipulating and telling lies. The people of southern Cameroon are saying enough is enough. You have colonized us for too long. You have looted our economy. You have destroyed our economy. And now you want to take away everything from us, including the language that we speak, including the law, the laws that we apply, and any other thing. So it should not be reduced to culture and language. It is not true. It is a question of, black on black colonization.
Thank you, Barrister Andang. We will never cease going ahead by all means to remind the French and all on the international scene who want to think like them that the people of the southern Cameroons are a people under international law. And therefore, France trying to give the impression that it's just a matter of cultural and linguistic differences is not just a falsehood. It is a clear manipulation that they are honestly aware of, but are determined to keep pushing through just to keep, their foothold on the resources in the southern Cameroons. And this is exactly why the people of the southern Cameroons are involved in this liberation movement. And she also says, she makes another fallacy. I was just about to leave her, but this comes back again fresh to mind. And I'll go back to Barrister Andang because I'm surprised that she says today, at this point, she can still say this, that there are a few people based in Europe and in the United States of America that are giving Mr. Biya trouble. And according to her, because a lot of our people, or some of our people, live on the territory of La République du Cameroun, she thinks that it is integration. The people are very happy to be where they are. And for that reason, just a few are, disturbing Mr. Paul Biya's peace. And so she thinks they shouldn't pay heed to that. Barrister Andang, I think she forgets that survey after survey, beginning with one by Christian Cardinal Toumi, who himself was a man clearly for one Cameroon, who was a federalist, but his survey, despite the fact that he confessed himself, that he tweaked it to try and make self-determination far away from the minds of the people, but 69% of the people in that survey, which was conducted exclusively on the territory, on ground zero, 69% said they wanted absolute independence. Did these French people see that? Not only that, shortly after that, the CDN conducted another survey, and this survey was run by a reputable firm, SurveyMonkey, based in the United States of America, in New York. 86% of the respondents in this survey said it was absolute independence and nothing to do with La République du Cameroun. As if that was not enough, yet another survey was conducted on the ground by CIDI of veteran journalist Victor Epiengome. This is just a few weeks ago. In that survey, 69 or is it 68% of the people, this again was almost exclusively on ground zero, 68% of the people who responded said it was independence or resistance forever. That notwithstanding, go back to the ground. On September 22, 2017, there were millions of southern Cameroonians on the streets of the southern Cameroons with peace plans led by our mothers of the Takembang, our sisters, our wives. I mean, millions of people in the streets of southern Cameroons everywhere, from Furawa to Isu, and passing through Isu right down to Badun, from Badun right down to Esoata. My people, through Boya, from Fuka, I mean everywhere. Right even in Menka, they were all out. Millions of them, to tell the world enough is enough with this incestuous union. With this union that has brought us all but pain and tears, and we are out of it. Did France see these images? Or they didn't see? Or they pretended not to have seen? Barrister Andang, this seems more or less not just like an insult, but one piece of provocation.
I must agree with you that, in fact, it's more than provocation. Just like Tanganji told Bia and the international community that there was no Anglophone problem, so has time proven them wrong, that there was more than an Anglophone problem. Let her continue to say that what is happening in the southern Cameroon is being perpetrated by a group of a few individuals who are in the diaspora. Those with the guns in the field, those who went on the street, who went to the street on September 22nd, even on the first day of October 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and even up to 2021. The evidence is so cogent, overwhelming, and very much alive and in existence. So, we have not seen any of these people from the diaspora, even on the 22nd of September 2017. We did not see any of this person on ground zero with those peace plans. So, I don't know whether she was addressing some babies or some empty head or some blind person, some people who have nothing in their head. I don't know what she was alluding to. Let them keep telling the lies.
But let's just Thank you very much, Barrister. And now let's flip to some other pieces of news that happened during the week. So quickly, and then move to the subject matter of our discussion. In the course of this week, the Herald Tribune published this piece. Renowned expert on democratization predicts Biya will leave the country worse off than he took power in 1982. Of course, Dr. Chris Fominio is not saying anything new, because not only is the country already worse off, is even so bad. So it's not like he will leave. He's even already done that. I think what he's doing now is just taking it to, ever new lows on a daily basis. But I must say this, that as Southern Cameroonians, as Ambazonians, we must thank Paul Biya, because Paul Biya is a gift that has really never ceased giving. If there was another president in La République du Cameroon that continued to try to play around with our intelligence and give us the impression that we were citizens, give us the impression that we belonged, and make us at some point just feel that perhaps one day we could be better considered, we would be sleeping on our laurels. But it needed someone, a shrewd and brutal person like Mr. Paul Biya, to get the people of the Southern Cameroons to start thinking, to get us on our toes, to start acting, and to build the resilience in us that has attained an irreversible level today. To give us that reminder that no, we are not supposed to be comfortable where we are because we are not home, and that we don't have a home, and we need to do everything to get back our home. For that, I give Mr. Paul Biya a good pat on the back. Let him remain there and continue to encourage us until we attain our objective. Another piece was a Guardian Post. Of course, this paper that we know that is brought to the cause of the colonial administration, brought to the cause of the oppressor, that constantly comes out to, publish stories that please the administration of La République du Cameroon, for whatever is it, even if for survivalist reasons, but it's not crying foul and say, as government stiltily bankrolls Francophone media, Anglophone press on life support, fears heightened English language newspapers may soon disappear from the market as economy in Northwest Southwest crippled by crisis. French media benefiting from large government support, while English language newspapers orphaned by lack of sponsorship. Listen, this provokes my laughter, because the English language press in the Southern Cameroons has gone slightly oblivious of the fact that this press is one of the reasons we are locked in this liberation movement. That our struggle is also to liberate the English language press from the stifling position it has been pushed to by the colonial administration of La République du Cameroon. The English language press has been on life support for many years. It's not today. And all what this English language press is supposed to do is to be supportive of a movement that is meant to liberate it. If it can't be supportive, at least let us report the facts. At least let us avoid taking sides with the oppressor. Because taking sides with the oppressor is standing against the same or the very liberation that we are struggling to acquire for it. I won't dwell so much on that, because this is something that they all already should understand. And my people of the Southern Cameroons, a few days ago, I said a thing. I did an audio. This audio was actually meant to draw the attention of our people to some of the mishaps that are going on in our liberation movement. And I said we can't use falsehood to fight a just cause. And this is a fact. Because you see, La République du Cameroon is doing everything using falsehood at all ends, because they only need falsehood to enslave us because their cause is not just. But we have a just cause. We don't need falsehood among ourselves to get there. And that's why I say, listen, life is too short to let stupid people manipulate you. I insist, life is too short to let stupid people manipulate you. I'm not insulting anyone here. I'm not the author of this. I only share this view because right now, go out there. They are all out there on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on every manner of media they can manage to attain. With audios, with write-ups, calling me names, saying all manners of things, even trying to link me to the very thing I'm talking about. Simply because the truth has been spoken. And that is why I share this view. That if there is someone in your life that you can't speak the truth to, and you walk on eggshells to avoid upsetting them, you are being controlled or manipulated. Listen, when it is wrong, we absolutely have to tell them it is wrong. And if telling them it is wrong has become anathema, then we are being manipulated. Absolutely being manipulated. That's why I say, if there is someone in your life that you can't speak the truth to, and you walk on eggshells to avoid upsetting them, you are being controlled or manipulated. This is absolutely what we should avoid. And I'd like to share this final one, which says, if someone treats you bad, just remember that there is something wrong with them, not you. Normal people don't go around destroying other people. Never let someone with the significance of a speed bump become a roadblock in your life. I insist here. If someone treats you bad, just remember that there is something wrong with them, not you. Normal people don't go around destroying other people. If you are normal, you will not go around destroying other people. And when they tell you that that is what you are doing, you start raising hair. I'd like to take this little transition, and when I return with Barrister Andang, we shall talk the Fumban Conference. And don't forget, we have a big piece of information towards the end of this program. Hang in there. Thank you, and welcome back. And so, what was the purpose of the Fumban Conference? What was the place of the Fumban Conference in international law regarding the situation or the decolonization process of the Southern Cameroons? Did that conference achieve the purpose of which it was intended? These questions and more, we are going to be addressing them with my guest on the program today, Barrister Ndo Andang. Barrister Ndo Andang is the legal advisor to the African Bar Association and the Secretary General of the Consortium. Barrister Ndo Andang, I'd like to begin immediately by finding out from you what made the need to hold a conference, which was eventually held in Fumban, necessary. What was the importance of that conference?
Thank you very much for that question. Let me take the opportunity to say that the Fumban Conference had two things. Discussion about a federal constitution and a union treaty. There were two parties involved. These two parties, I'm referring to La Republic of Cameroon and Southern Cameroon. Prior to the Fumban Conference, there was a resolution by the United Nations. That resolution has been bedeviled as Resolution 1608. A lot of us will not know that the Fumban Conference was an attempt to implement Resolution 1608. Summarily, Resolution 1608 called for a federal constitution that will regulate the union between La République du Cameroon and the Southern Cameroon. And the second was a union treaty. Remember that when we talk of countries at the level of international law, we are referring to, in fact, they are parties to international law. And the end result of anything that they do can only be evidenced by way of a treaty or a convention. So the Fumban Conference was an attempt to implement a Resolution 1608. Now, how did Resolution 1608 come about is another question. Remember that prior to Resolution 1608, there has been another resolution, Resolution 1514, which called for the granting of independence to colonial countries and people. This resolution was brought in conjunction with Article 76B of the United Nations Charter, which required that all territories that were trust territories, hitherto known as mandated territory under the League of Nations, must, be granted independence. So that explains why when the war was coming to an end, I'm referring to the Second World War, when it effectively came to an end, with the birth of the United Nations, colonial powers like the French and the British, I'm referring to France and the government of UK, were called upon to sign agreement known as Trusteeship Agreement with the United Nations. And that is why on the 13th day of December 1946, that was in the morning, the government of the United Kingdom signed Trusteeship Agreement number 118, by which she now obligated herself under international law to prepare the territories handed to her for, eventual independence. That same day in the evening, the French government signed Trusteeship Agreement number 119, which she equally obligated herself under international law to prepare her own territories for eventual independence. It must be understood here that of the French, perhaps France got hold of La République du Cameroon, while UK, in fact, was to take over the trust territory of Southern Cameroon and prepare it for independence. Surprisingly, when the government of the United Kingdom informed the international community, and in particular the United Nations Organization, that she was going to grant independence to the Federal Republic of Nigeria on October 1st, 1960, she was being called upon to present a date for which the Southern Cameroon will be granted independence. Instead, for the government of the United Kingdom to provide a date, she rather threw Sidney Philipson, who presented the position of the UK government, stated that there was no possibility of an independent Southern Cameroon because Southern Cameroon was dependable. And that is how them, I don't know, that's why I keep on calling it that there had been some conspiracy against the people of Southern Cameroon. No
Mr.
doubt.
Andan, would you say that when the delegates to the Fumban Conference arose, that the objective of that conference was attained.
No, the objective of that conference, even without hearing from those who attended the conference, were never attained because it is very simple. Article 102 of the United Nations Charter, applying same to the latter, state that where there is a conference like that which held in Fumban, where the conference like what held in took place in Fumban ever took place, the only evidence of it is that there should be a treaty. And if you make this treaty and you do not register it at the United Nations Secretariat, it means therefore that there was no treaty. In other words, I am saying that I need not listen to anybody who actually took part in the Fumban Conference to answer the question that the objective of the Fumban Conference were never attained, having stated the objective, because it was expected that if the Fumban Conference ended ended successfully, there should be a union treaty, and that union treaty must be registered as prescribed by Article 102 of the United Nations Charter, because it requires that you have to register the treaty at the registry of the United Nations where such documents or treaties are being registered, and that is at the Secretariat. It's just like children. When a child is born, the child is taken to the civil statute registrar for a birth certificate to be issued. In the absence of the birth certificate, you cannot therefore tender any document to show that the child was born. If in effect you tender it, they need to go and verify from that registry whether effectively such a document existed. That is why we challenge La Republique to date that if she claims that she has authority over the Southern Cameroon, or that there was a conference that held in Fumban, and that the conference was in fact attained its objective, let La Republique tender a treaty, a union treaty. If La Republique tender a union treaty, I will call on all Southern Cameroonians fighting for the independence of Southern Cameroon to drop their gun.
Now,
Until such a time when La
let
Republique...
me take you to this other question. You said the objective was twofold.
Yes.
One, draft and
a
sign
federal
treaty,
constitution,
a union of treaty, and the next was on a federal constitution. How did the
that
talks
should
on
be
the
the
federal
first.
constitution go? Did they actually draft and agree to a federal constitution?
Never. Everything was manipulation. There is a particular article known as Article 47 of a supposed federal constitution. That constitution, there was never due process. No due process was followed. All of us, those of us who were never, some of us who were not even born, we have been told that our people, our delegates, left that place and nothing ever happened. And it is true that it never happened. If at all it ever happened, we will not be where we are today. We'll be trying to find a way to revoke the constitution, to revoke the treaty. Either way, I am saying that neither a federal constitution nor a treaty, none of them came out from the Fumban Conference. The Fumban Conference, if at all any such thing existed, that is why I'm saying that we asking La Republique to tender the existence of a union treaty.
But I understand, Barrister
Andan,
that
yes,
La République du Cameroon actually did provide some draft constitution to the Southern Cameroon's delegation to examine. And that, from historical accounts, and those accounts are those by Victor Julius Ngor, that Prime Minister Foncha kept the document to himself and only produced it to the people when they were already at the conference venue. Whereas the author had it earlier to study it and then say something about it. Why is it that the draft or whatever constitution was to be debated came only from La République du Cameroon? And is it true, absolutely
And is it true,
that
absolutely, that
Prime Minister Foncha kept this
Prime
document to
Minister
himself?
Foncha kept this document to himself?
I, not being a party to the proceedings, I cannot answer the question in a yes or no. I can't answer it, but from evidence gathered from those who actually took part, and from the books we read, it is true that the delegates from Southern Cameroon were never given the opportunity to have that draft document. Even if they had, that was not the procedure. Having a draft document, having a, the fact they were supposed, by procedure, they were supposed to meet and discuss and then form a commission or a committee that will go and sit and draft. That committee will obviously be made up of experts from Southern Cameroon and experts from La République du Cameroon to go and bring a draft from La République du Cameroon or from wherever and giving, brought a draft and then gave it to our people was in total violation of norms and rules in place. And in fact, he had no basis. Whether it was handed to them to examine even 2 weeks or 1 month ahead of time. The procedure was that the parties should sit and agree. They should sit and agree, not to go and debate on a constitution, a draft constitution that has already been crafted by one party to be imposed on the other. So I'm saying that the procedure was already violated from the very start, even before the conference.
Now I understand that in
Fumban,
the La République du Cameroon had benefited from the expertise of their French colonial masters. While the Southern Cameroonians were all on their own.
They were all on their
And
own.
some historical accounts
Note
that this is because the British had already come to some under the table agreement
with
and
France,
possibly ceded some territory elsewhere. That is obtained some territory elsewhere from France in exchange for the Southern Cameroons with the agreement that as a minority we were going to be assimilated and transformed into
francophones.
Do you find any such evidence in the pages of history?
I would not take it to be evidence, but I've read and actually, I want to say that the allegation is true. When you take into consideration the case of Ghana and Togo, we have some part of Togo that were actually ceded to, to Ghana, and you know Ghana was a trust territory under the UK government. So that is true. I remember. I know of Togoland. I know of some other part, even in Tanganyika, and some countries east of Africa that the French handed over to the government of the United Kingdom. The allegation is true. I know that these things are done in hiding. You know, the colonial masters in their quest for territories, action, imperialism, and all like will do anything. So the allegation that the British government or the government of the United Kingdom ceded the Southern Cameroon to the French government, La République du Cameroon, in exchange for some other territories in Africa, is true.
This brings me to this other piece of information. I know that some persons actually do refer to British colonies in Africa, including Ghana, though they were trust territories. But in effect, Ghana was a direct colony of the British, not a UN trust territory. I know that sometimes it's easy for us to get wrapped up in some of those things. But there is this other question that comes to mind. The action of the British, governor to the Southern Cameroons on October 1, 1961,
That's quite telling.
And could go a long way to confirm
And could go a long way to confirm what you just
allegation.
described a while ago as an allegation.
Because rather than handing the
Because rather than handing the
of independence
of
government to Foncha, they were rather handed to Ahidjo of La République du Cameroon. Strange enough, because Foncha, who was Prime Minister of the Southern Cameroons and the territory that Britain was executing a trusteeship agreement over. Why should they hand the instruments of independence and of governance to Ahidjo of another country and not to Foncha?
That was simply transfer of a colonial master. To the best of my knowledge, after having stated that the government of the United Kingdom had informed the international community that there was no possibility for an independent Southern Cameroon, because she claimed that the Southern Cameroon could not leave a government run a government of its own, and concluded in a statement that the Southern Cameroon was therefore dependable. It therefore meant that they could not hand the document, if at all, to the Southern Cameroon premier then. So that is eloquent proof that La République was given, the green light to go ahead and colonize us. And no doubt on that same day, La République du Cameroon moved its forces and they occupied our territory. When the Union Jack, and it was on that same day that the Union Jack was brought down. So it was mere transfer of a colonial master to another colonial master.
Now, but the question that begs for an answer is, this was in total violation of the directives of the United Nations. Total violation of Resolution 1608.
Read in conjunction with
Why did the United Nations stay silent? Why were questions not asked? Why are those questions not being asked?
Remember that before Resolution 1608 there was a plebiscite. So there was a foundation that was already being laid over the people of Southern Cameroon to La République du Cameroon. And that was facilitated by the famous Resolution 1351 and 1352. All these two resolutions, they are already facilitated. In fact, they already laid down the foundation for takeover of the Southern Cameroon by La République du Cameroon. So, in fact, remember that Article 76B read together with Resolution 1514 and 1608 did not, in fact, let me even keep out 1608. 76B did not, 76B of the United Nations Charter and Resolution 1514, they did not envisage, neither is it stated anywhere, especially in 76B, that somebody can become independent by joining another country, that a country can become independent by joining another country. In fact, Resolution 1514 is so sacrosanct, the granting of independent colonial countries and people. And it was not left for the people to come and decide that they will become independent by joining another people. So it was pure manipulation. The question as to why they handed the document of independence to Ahidjo instead of being handed to Foncha, therefore it cannot arise here, because the answer is self-explanatory.
Okay, thank you very much.
And no foundation has been laid.
Thank you very much, Barrister.
Andang.
I want to recall here that in effect, we saw a similar experience between Senegal and Gambia. And there was a treaty of union which included clauses
which included
of opting
clauses
out
of
if the
opting
union
out
did not work.
if the union did not work.
And that is why
You're referring to
Senegambia,
Senegambia.
yes,
Yeah.
that is why Senegambia did not
That's why
last long.
Senegambia did not last long.
And so
There
is no reason
why
today someone should be
why
talking
today
to us
someone
about
should be
one and
talking to us
indivisible.
about one and indivisible.
And so I must also
And so I must also state here
that the attempts
by
by some in the international
community
to give the impression
to give the impression
that the
that
Southern
the
Cameroons
Southern Cameroons today
cannot achieve
cannot
self-determination
achieve self-determination because if we do,
La République du Cameroon
La République du
will
Cameroon
not be able to sustain
not be able to sustain self
It's simply
economically. It's simply paradoxically.
or rather simply paradoxical.
Or rather simply
Because
paradoxical.
in
Because
1961,
in
you say
1960,
we are dependable.
you say we are
We don't have
dependable.
resources to
We don't have
self-sustain.
resources to self-sustain.
In 2021,
In 2021, you say
we are the breadbasket of the
we are
entire
the bread
union.
basket of the entire union.
That we hold
That
to
we
us alone
hold
60%
us
of the
alone
GDP.
60% of the GDP.
And so, if we
And
achieve
so,
self-determination,
if we achieve
the
self-determination,
other party that is
the
colonizing
other party
us
that is
will not
colonizing
survive.
us will not survive.
This is really unacceptable.
Really unacceptable.
Barrister Andang, let's go now to
let's
what I
go
call
now to what
the
I call
blast.
the blast.
The big announcement on this
The
program.
big announcement
or the
on this
big
program.
Deal
Or
on
the
this
big
program.
deal on this
To let our
program.
people
To let our
listen
people listen
to this gentleman.
to this gentleman.
Is very important and fundamental.
Is important and fundamental.
J'estime pour ma part que la situation qui prévaut dans les zones anglophones, du fait justement de l'autisme, de l'assolutisme, de la condescendance du pouvoir en place et d'une gravité extrême et méritait un traitement spécial. Nous sommes réunis ici en plénière spéciale. Une plénière spéciale que le SGF a réclamée à corps et à cri, non pour la reconstruction et le développement qui est sans objet, sans retour de la paix, mais pour examiner les problèmes de fond à l'origine de cette guerre, afin d'esquisser des solutions politiques susceptibles de ramener la paix. En choisissant ce format d'échange, votre gouvernement cherche non seulement à banaliser l'ampleur des horreurs de cette guerre, mais à minimiser son propre rôle historique dans son déclenchement. C'est une provocation de plus, une provocation de trop envers les populations meurtries du Nozo. N'en déplaise aux élites compradors corrompus de ces deux régions. Mettons d'abord un terme à cette guerre et la reconstruction se fera tout naturellement. J'estime pour ma part que la situation qui prévaut dans les zones anglophones, du fait justement de l'autisme.
So, my people, you have heard it. And for those of you who don't understand French, I will take just a minute to do a quick translation or a quick summary. This gentleman who was speaking there is a senator. He's a senator from La République du Cameroon extraction. This is a citizen of La République du Cameroon. He is talking here in the Senate of La République du Cameroon. This is a special session of parliament organized to talk about reconstruction of the southern Cameroons. And this is what this senator says. He says, one, that it is important to recognize that what is happening in the southern Cameroons today is as a result of the condescending attitude, the absolutist ability of the government of Cameroon. That is why we are where we are today. And he says this special plenary that is being held at this point in time to talk rather about reconstruction has been asked for by the SDF, the Opposition Social Democratic Front, years back. Over and over and over, they used all means possible to request for a special session, not to discuss reconstruction, but to discuss the fundamental issues that were raised by the people of the Southern Cameroons, but they were ignored. And he is shocked that today this special session is being held to talk about a reconstruction, which is, he actually says sans objet in French, that say, which is unnecessary. He says, which just stems from stupidity, because no reconstruction is possible at this point in time where there is no peace. And he says, to talk reconstruction now without peace and justice for the people of the Southern Cameroons is one provocation too many for a people who are undergoing all forms of dehumanization from the hands of the same La République du Cameroon. And he says that by going down this route, the government of La République du Cameroon wants to set aside or downplay the horror of its actions on the people of the Southern Cameroons. And he also points out that the government also wants to cover up its historic role in escalating the situation in the Southern Cameroons to where it is today. But most importantly, and this is my concern, he addresses the so-called elite of the Southern Cameroons, especially those who are calling themselves representatives of the people in the Senate and Parliament, or rather in the upper and lower houses of the Parliament of La République du Cameroon, for being silent at a time their people are being dehumanized, for being silent at a time whole village settlements are being reduced to ashes. They are silent. And that's why he describes them as being compromised and corrupt. He describes them like that. He is shocked to imagine that people who claim to be representing the people of the Southern Cameroons, fortunately, we didn't even vote for them, but he believes that because they say and sit in the same parliament with him, that they represent the people of the Southern Cameroons, they ought to at least stand up for these people, but they don't. My people, recall in one of my broadcasts here, I pointed out that this CPDM hoodlums in our community are our first major problem. If our forebears did not collectively leave the House of Assembly in Enugu in Nigeria and move to Boya to found a government and institute the Southern Cameroons, we won't have an entity to be talking about today. The same thing that has been said about us today, about resolutions at the United Nations, about a vote for our independence at the United Nations, is not being said of the British Northern Cameroons, because they didn't do what our forebears did to make the Southern Cameroons different and be an international entity under international law. So, this is a big lesson, very big lesson. And the man tells Tazon Paul, that is embarrassing and a shame to find him from the Southern Cameroons come and stand and be talking about reconstruction at a time such a thing is not possible. Barrister Andang, we are turning towards the end of this broadcast. I come over to you to get your comment on this outing, and which outing actually is a rebuke of the French representative at the European Union Parliament, because this French representative gave the impression that government had done so much and all of those things. But here, you are listening to a senator, a representative of the people of La République du Cameroon, saying something completely different, contrary. This is a rebuke to France. Barrister Andang, your comment and your concluding remarks on this program.
The French government, actually the representative spoke the French mind, and their government is based on manipulation and lies telling. And good thing that the senator in question either ignorantly or otherwise expose her. Uh, Actually, even there is even no need discussing anything in the French Parliament about the Southern Cameroon question. We have gone past that stage.
You mean in the
Their
Parliament of La République
discussion,
du Cameroon?
yes, yes. I don't know what if they must discuss. They should be they should be asking. I mean, in fact, they can't even say anything. We need to sit on the negotiation table and discuss terms of separation. Let them go their way. They cannot, in fact, there's nothing to talk again with them, even though I know their greatest fear is debate on the question of Southern Cameroon. That is what they are avoiding. The senator did his own part. Anyway, I must commend and appreciate him for what he said to the extent of, I mean, telling even somebody who purports to represent the people of Southern Cameroon that what he's doing is too wrong. It's very shameful that he came and stood in Parliament to be supporting a reconstruction of the Southern Cameroon at this point in time. In fact, the reason why I'm saying that La Republic Parliament has nothing to do with this issue, I'm talking about the question of the Southern Cameroon's independence, is that the Southern Cameroon independent question is a question for the determination by the international law and not a question to be determined by the national laws of La Republic, nor is Parliament or any other national entity. So,
Barrister, now we are running out of time on this program. Your final submission, your concluding remarks on this program in 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me appreciate and thank you very much for initiating this program. The soul of the Southern Cameroon focus on the Fumban Conference. I think we need such a program time and again to continue to expose the truth to the international community. You know, there is nothing as good as the truth. Lies will continue to be said by those who dwell and live in life telling. But what is so unfortunate to them is that time is a magician. Time will expose them. The truth will always come out. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barrister Anand, for your time. Thank you for
being there,
taking our call.
for taking our call.
The
I know
technical
the technical difficulties actually being on the line to Nigeria.
I know the
I
connection
know
hiccups
the
and
connection
everything,
hiccups
so
and
I want
everything.
to
So I want
already
to
apologize for
apologize for
some little sound troubles that
sound
you
troubles
might have
that you
witnessed during this
might have
broadcast.
witnessed during this
And so,
broadcast. And
thank you
so,
very much,
thank you
all and
very much,
sundry,
all
for
and
being part of
sundry,
this
for being
broadcast.
part of this broadcast.
It's always a
It's
pleasure
always a
sharing with
pleasure
you
sharing with
on
you
Saturdays
on
within the framework
Saturdays within the
of the
framework
soul
of
of
the
the Southern
soul of the
Cameroon.
Southern
We
Cameroon.
shall
We
continue
shall continue
this
this
program because we consider it
program
a
because we
driving
consider it
force
a driving
in
force
efforts to
in
educate
efforts
the
to
people on the
educate the
Southern
people on the
Cameroons
Southern
on
Cameroon
our history
on our
and on some
history and
fundamental
on some
truths that we need to
fundamental
know,
truths that we
and so
need
that
to
we are
know,
able
and
to
so that we are
together
able to together
identify the big lies
identify the
that
big lies
continue
that
to hold
continue
us back,
to hold
and
us
then
back,
so
and
that
then
the
so
truth
that
that
the
we
truth
learn
that
will
we learn
finally
will
set us
finally
free.
set us free.
Once more, thank you very much,
Once more, thank you
and I
very
see
much,
you
and see
next
you
Saturday
next
for yet another
Saturday for
edition
yet another
of the Soul
edition
of
of
the
the
Southern
Soul
Cameroons.
of the Southern
Until then,
Cameroon.
goodbye.
Until then, goodbye.
Thank you.